Louis Thompson, the visionary behind the beloved Golden Brew coffee chain, wasn't just a successful CEO. He was a man on a mission. Louis had built his empire not solely on premium beans or trendy interiors, but on a foundation of core values: equality, exceptional service, and opportunities for everyone. He envisioned a space where every customer felt welcomed and every employee treated people with dignity, no matter their background. Despite his meteoric rise and bustling boardroom schedule, Louis remained grounded. He never lost touch with the heartbeat of his company, the daily experiences of ordinary people. Yet lately, a question gnawed at him. Were his employees truly upholding those values? Were customers being treated with the fairness and warmth he championed? There was only one way to know. He decided to visit one of Golden Brew's busiest city branches, but not as the man in the tailored suit. Louis traded his designer attire for a plain hoodie and jeans. No chauffeur, no entourage, just a quiet man walking into a coffee shop. The moment he stepped in, the scent of roasted beans and fresh pastries wrapped around him. The store hummed with chatter and clinking mugs. Baristas bustled behind the counter, filling orders, calling names, flashing smiles. Louis's eyes sparkled. This was the heart of his vision, but that warmth quickly faded. Behind the counter stood a young blonde employee, leaning lazily against the register. Her name, tag-read Karen. While others darted around, she was glued to her phone, thumbs scrolling, face disengaged. The line grew. Customers shifted impatiently. Louis stepped forward, his signature warmth in his voice. "Excuse me," he said gently. "Could I get some help, please?" Karen didn't look up. She sighed dramatically and muttered, "I'm busy. Go wait." Like everyone else. Louis blinked. The words struck like cold water. He stepped back silently, rejoining the line, his expression unreadable. But behind calm eyes, he was watching, studying, and what he saw chilled him. Karen greeted white customers with bright smiles and friendly banter. Orders were taken promptly, and interactions were pleasant. But when customers of color approached, her demeanor turned frosty. She was curt, rushed, dismissive, no smiles, no warmth, just indifference. The shift was undeniable. Louis stood quietly, observing each interaction with growing unease. When his turn finally came again, he stepped forward. "Hi," he said kindly. "I'd like a medium latte, please." Karen didn't look at him. "We're out," she said flatly. Louis frowned. He had just watched her make that exact drink moments ago for a white customer. "Are you sure?" he asked, keeping his voice calm but firm. Karen crossed her arms. "Try another store," she snapped. A hush swept through the room. Even the espresso machines seemed to pause. Louis stood still, feeling a surge of disappointment far deeper than personal offense. He nodded slowly and turned to leave. He had seen enough. This wasn't just poor service, it was discrimination. And for Louis, that struck at the very soul of what Golden Brew stood for. Back at headquarters, Louis dove into reports from that particular branch. He pored over customer feedback, incident logs, and employee files. A troubling pattern emerged. Numerous complaints echoed what he had experienced: rudeness, unequal treatment, repeated mentions of a blonde employee. Some even hinted at racial bias. But what stunned him most, none of it had been formally reported by the store's manager. Determined to understand, Louis summoned Jessica, the branch manager, for a private conversation. Jessica arrived looking nervous. Her fingers fidgeted as Louis asked, "Have you noticed any concerning behavior from your team? Perhaps from Karen?" Jessica hesitated, then finally admitted, "I have. I've seen the way she treats some customers differently, but she's popular with other staff. I was afraid calling her out would cause tension." Louis listened silently, eyes steady. "Jessica," he said calmly, Avoiding conflict can never come at the cost of our values. It's our duty to protect our customers and create a space where everyone feels safe and respected. Jessica nodded, her face a mixture of guilt and relief. With her cooperation, Louis began planning his next move. 1 week later, Louis returned to the same store, but this time he wasn't in a hoodie. He walked in dressed sharply in a custom suit, flanked by a small team of Golden Brew executives. Conversations died mid-sentence. Mugs froze mid-air. The energy shifted instantly. Karen, standing at the register, was laughing with a co-worker. Her voice faded when she noticed the entourage. Her posture stiffened. The color drained from her face as Louis spoke. "Can I have everyone's attention, please?" The staff gathered nervously, unsure of what was unfolding. "My name is Louis Thompson," he began. "I'm the CEO of Golden Brew." Gasps rippled across the room. Karen's eyes went wide. She slowly tucked her phone into her apron. "Last week, I visited this store undercover," Louis said, his voice calm but unwavering. "I came to see how our customers were being treated." His eyes met Karen's. "What I experienced was unacceptable. I was dismissed, lied to, and disrespected. And based on the complaints we've reviewed, I'm not the only one." Karen opened her mouth to speak. I didn't know it was you," she stammered. Louis raised his hand. "It doesn't matter who I am. Every customer deserves dignity, not just the ones you think are worth your time." Silence. Karen's bravado melted into panic. She mumbled excuses, but the room remained still. "This behavior goes against everything Golden Brew stands for," Louis continued. "It will not be tolerated." He turned to Karen, now visibly shaking. "Karen, your pattern of discrimination and disrespect has no place in our company. Effective immediately, your employment is terminated." Karen gasped. "Please, wait. I can change. Give me another chance." But Louis shook his head. "You had dozens of chances, with every customer you chose to mistreat." He turned to Jessica. "Jessica, I understand your hesitation, but leadership means stepping up, especially when it's hard. I believe you care. That's why I'm giving you the tools to lead." Jessica nodded, eyes glistening with tears. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson. I won't let you down." Louis laid out the changes to come. Jessica would receive advanced training in inclusive leadership. Corporate would provide support to rebuild the store's culture. And across every Golden Brew location, effective immediately, mandatory diversity and inclusion training would be rolled out. "These sessions," Louis said, "will focus on respect, empathy, and the kind of service we expect at every counter, whether you're wearing a suit or a hoodie." The news spread fast. Within hours, customers who had witnessed the confrontation shared their experiences online. Videos, quotes, and first-hand accounts went viral. Golden Brew justice began trending. The public response was overwhelming. Praise poured in for Louis's direct, no-nonsense approach. Leaders across industries lauded his example. Customers, especially those from marginalized communities, felt seen, heard, and respected. Back at the city branch, change came fast. The energy in the store shifted. Employees became more attentive. Conversations warmed. Smiles were shared without reservation. Customers noticed. The community returned. Business boomed. But for Louis, this wasn't about sales. It was about something deeper. He reflected often on why he started Golden Brew. Not just to sell coffee, but to build a brand that stood for justice, opportunity, and inclusion. One sunny afternoon, as he stopped by a different location, a young black barista behind the counter spotted him. "Mr. Thompson?" The young man asked, eyes wide. "You're the reason I wanted to work here." Louis smiled, deeply moved. "What's your name?" "Marcus." They sat together during Marcus's break, sharing coffee and stories. Louis offered mentorship, advice, and encouragement. That moment stayed with Louis. It reminded him that leadership wasn't just about policies. It was about people. and one act of integrity could shape a legacy. Golden Brew, once just a coffee chain, had become something greater, a symbol of fairness, a haven of respect, a place where doing the right thing still mattered. And for Louis Thompson, that was the richest brew of all.